Oi oi girls and boys and everything in between, it's Ace Trainer Liam, and today I'm gonna make you cry. Back in March 2015, one of the first videos I ever uploaded on this channel was my top 5 saddest goodbyes in Pokemon, and it's a video that a lot of you gave a lot of love. In fact, a lot of you will have found my channel through that video. But over the past 2.5 years, I've got a lot of comments on that video about other goodbyes that should have been in the list. Goodbyes that hadn't actually happened in March 2015 when I originally made the video. Never fear, your voices have been heard. It's time for an update, so today, I'm going to revisit this topic. At the time of making this video, which is December 2017, the Pokemon anime has been running for well over 20 years and has amassed around 1,000 different episodes. And during that time, we've grown to love Ash's Pokemon friends that travel alongside him. We've watched them battle, we've watched them learn, we've watched them grow, we've watched them understand things about themselves. We've grown alongside them, and that's why it's always heartbreaking when we reach a point in the story where we have to say goodbye to a cherished member of the team. One thing the Pokemon anime seems to get right is knowing how to break our hearts and bring the tears when it comes to saying goodbye to a beloved Pokemon. So here's my updated list of the top 5 saddest Pokemon goodbyes. Number 5. Goodra's goodbye in Beyond the Rainbow. Ash first encountered Goodra when it was still a Goomy, after it fell from a Swanna flying overhead. Don't ask. Goomy was first shown to be a pretty wimpy Pokemon. However, during its time with Ash, it began to learn its true potential and how to stand up for both itself and its friends. Once it finally evolved into a Goodra, it felt like this Pokemon would be a mainstay of Ash's team for his entire Kalos adventure. But of course, we were wrong. Ash and friends soon stumbled upon Goodra's homeland, the wetlands, and the whole place was in turmoil. Long story short, a very confused Florges was trying to protect a weakened Floette and thus lashing out at other Pokemon. After Team Rocket got involved and tried to manipulate Florges, not before it overheard them bragging about their plan to drain the wetlands where all the Pokemon live, Florges and Goodra teamed up to protect their home and easily dispatched Team Rocket. After the battle, Goodra and Florges used Rain Dance and Grassy Terrain respectively to restore the wetlands to its former healthy state, and Ash realises it would be best for everyone for Goodra to stay behind to protect its home. Serena, Clement and the others all agree with Ash's decision, since they can see how happy Goodra's friends are to have it back, and how safe they'll be with Goodra there to protect them. A montage of Goodra's time with Ash then plays, reminding us of the journey they've shared together, and Ash and Goodra embrace, as Ash simply says, "Even if we're far apart, no matter what happens, we'll always be friends." But don't worry kids, we do see him later on in the Kalos League. Dry your eyes, mate. Number 4. Arbok and Weezing's goodbye in a poached ego. I've talked before about how much I love the Team Rocket duo of Jessie and James. Sure, their intentions are evil and they're not the smartest pair of idiots, but Jessie and James have shown time and time again that they truly love and care for their Pokemon, and I find that really endearing. Deep down, these two are two of the most thoughtful trainers there are when it comes to their own Pokemon and the strength of their bonds with them. Their only real downfall is they don't seem to realise that the trainers that they steal Pokemon from have those same bonds with their own Pokemon. When it comes to Jessie and James' most iconic partners, Arbok and Weezing respectively, it's no surprise how much we fans grew to love them, after they were a staple of Jessie and James's teams for 270 plus episodes, from their debut as Ekans and Coughing to their release in a poached ego. In this one, the story is simple. Team Rocket come across a Pokemon poacher who's planning to steal a bunch of wild Coughing and Ekans for his client, with the help of his Fearow and Pupitar. Jessie and James themselves initially think they should be the ones to steal the Pokemon for, Team Rocket purposes, but soon come to understand that Arbok and Weezing want quite the opposite. They want to protect their wild brethren. The emotional part of this episode comes once the poacher's Pupitar evolves into Tyranitar and repeatedly uses Hyper Beam, which proves too much for Arbok and Weezing to handle. Jessie and James then realise what has to be done and order Arbok and Weezing to take the wild Ekans and Coughing and leave. It really is a powerful scene, as Arbok and Weezing look on whilst Team Rocket throw themselves in front of Tyranitar's Hyper Beam over and over again, taking blast after blast to buy Arbok and Weezing time to escape with the wild Coughing and Ekans. I will admit the emotion kinda gets watered down by Meowth continuing to crack jokes whilst this destruction's going on, and Jessie and James claiming to use their own versions of Fury Swipes. God, it's so cringy! Not to mention, after the tenure Arbok and Weezing had, you'd have thought the Pokemon Company could have thrown together a montage of their time in the anime to really drive home the point of how strong the bonds were here. The real downer here is that since that episode we haven't seen Arbok or Weezing again, and chances are, we never will. Number 3. Greninja's goodbye in facing the needs of the many. Honestly, this isn't a Pokemon I'd have ever expected to see Ash catch and release. It's undeniable that Ash and his Greninja had a bond unlike any other of Ash's Pokemon. I mean, if we go by the lore of the series, Greninja is able to take on its Ash Greninja form because of how incredibly strong its bond with Ash is, indicating their bond is even stronger than the bond between Ash and Pikachu, which is crazy. This episode comes just after Ash and friends have defeated Lysander and the giant rock has been destroyed by Squishy and Z2, where it's revealed that some of the giant rock's roots still remained and that Greninja, in its Ash form, has the power to detect them. But apparently no one else can, and even the Order Pokemon Zygarde can't maintain order without Greninja's help, so it's not really an effective Order. Let's ignore that bit. Ash realises that the right thing to do is to let Greninja stay in Kalos with Squishy and Z2 to search out the remaining roots and destroy them, and thus they'll have to part ways. What follows is a montage of Greninja's time with the group from as far back as when it was just a Froakie all the way up to the present, before Ash and Greninja shake hands and hug. Now, as powerful as this scene should be, it doesn't feel that emotional. Like, yeah, Ash tears up a little, but he remains pretty positive and upbeat during the whole scene. You'd think saying goodbye to a friend that you're that closely bonded with would cause a little bit more distress than that, but apparently not. Not to mention, the entire scene is kind of spoiled by Squishy's telepathic voice, which for some reason is a very posh British one, completely spoiling the immersion of the scene. Nice job, Squishy! Granted, even an irritating accent can't take away from the powerful message behind this scene, about true friendship and how being away from a friend doesn't have to mean you'll never be together again, and that part of you will always be in each other's hearts so long as you keep each other in your memories. Number 2. Piplup's goodbye in Memories Are Made of Bliss. This one happens towards the end of our time in Sinnoh, as Ash and Brock are preparing to head off on the ferry back to the Kanto region. Piplup is understandably distraught with the idea of having to part ways with two of his friends, becoming overcome with emotion and ultimately running away. Although, part of me has never really understood this, because if you're upset about losing two of your friends, why would running away from all of your friends be better? Because then you'd have no friends and it would be a lot worse than if you'd have just stuck around and let the other two friends leave. I'm overthinking this. Anyway, Ash and his friends begin the search for Piplup, with Staraptor, Pikachu and Togekiss taking to the skies for an aerial search. They soon encounter Piplup in one of the most emotional scenes I've ever seen in the Pokemon anime, where the trio find Piplup, who looks up at Togekiss and just completely breaks down in a flood of tears. You can see during this scene just how little control Piplup has over his emotions at this point, as he runs over to Pikachu and starts smacking him in the chest out of pure emotional frustration, before Pikachu himself is then overcome with emotion as they both begin to cry together. And the whole time, Tears After Cloudy Weather, arguably the saddest piece of music ever used in the Pokemon anime, which I can't play due to copyright reasons, thanks Showpro, love you too, is playing in the background, and that's a tune that can always set me off into a blubfest. This whole scene is just full of emotion, and if you've not seen it, go and watch it, because damn! But here we are with number 1, Butterfree's goodbye in Bye Bye Butterfree. Now this one really is the saddest goodbye of them all. It's undeniable. This one took my childhood and tore it in two. The premise of this one is really easy to digest. Ash and the gang have come across a female Butterfree in the midst of Butterfree mating season, and of course Ash's own Butterfree takes a liking to her. It's soon deduced by Ash and his friends that the best thing for Butterfree would be to allow it to go off with the rest of the wild Butterfree and take part in the mating season. Of course that means Butterfree leaving Ash's ownership and leaving the party. Now the sheer emotion in this scene is something Pokemon rarely does anymore, and for good reason. The entire sequence showing Butterfree's journey with Ash, from being caught as a Caterpie, evolving into Metapod and then into Butterfree, really emphasises how far this Pokemon has come alongside its trainer Ash. And as the two stare into each other's tear-filled eyes and say their goodbyes, as we hear Tears After Cloudy Weather playing, filling the scene with even more raw emotion, you can't help but tear up and have yourself a good cry. The first time I watched this episode, it shook me. Never before had an episode of the Pokemon anime hit me as hard as this one, and no other episode has even come close to giving me the same feeling of heartache and sorrow as Bye Bye Butterfree did. Butterfree's time in the Pokemon anime was somewhat short-lived, but this episode alone proves just how much of an impact Ash's first captured Pokemon had on all of us. Thanks for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, and of course drop me a comment letting me know which goodbye in Pokemon you think is the saddest. I did another of these videos about when we say goodbye to Ash's traveling companions. Check that out in the description below, and if you want me to update that one, then be sure to let me know. But of course, subscribe with notifications on so that you never miss a video from me. But until next time, I'm Ace Trainer Liam. Keep on training.